Hey, John Callahan back again, talking about how to market to affluent families. Now, just a reminder, this is all a build up to my speech at ICCFA. It's on Friday, April 12th at 4 p.m. So if you're going to be down in Tampa at ICCFA, please plan on attending. Now, what we talked about last time was the psychological profile. And this time, what we're going to talk about is what do they spend their money on? What in the world do these affluent people spend all of that money on that they've got squirreled away? Well, I'm going to give you some broad categories of what they spend their money on and then give you a few more examples as well. Excuse me. Affluent people spend money on their passions, the things that they care about most, and it varies a lot from person to person. But the thing is with the affluent is they will spend money on their passions, and many times they'll be incredibly frugal on everything else. Now, I've got a good friend of mine who is a business owner who is passionate about golf, and he does not think twice about hopping on the plane, going first class down to Hilton Head, and playing around just for a day and turning around, coming back. It's not something that he even thinks twice about. He'll go anywhere in the world to play a round of golf, and he doesn't really care what the fees are, but at the same time, he clips coupons. Seriously, it's amazing. You go to a restaurant with him, and he's got coupons for dinner. I've got another good friend that his passion is coaching his son's hockey team. And to make that easy for him, it's a travel team where they're on the road all the time. He went out and bought one of these Class A, roughly $150,000 motorhome, which is a beautiful unit. It's really, really nice. And he doesn't think twice about taking that 500 miles down the road at roughly 3 to 4 miles a gallon. Doesn't think twice about that, but at the same time complains when a box of pens goes up by 10 cents at Staples. Go figure. Affluent people will spend money on their passions. They'll spend money on their collections. A lot of affluent people collect things. It could be cars, it could be artwork, it could be antiques. They will spend money on whatever they collect. So if you're making arrangements with an affluent person, what a great thing to ask them about. What was your loved one's collection? What did they collect? Because they almost always collect something. They'll spend money on bling, jewelry, to an extent that is just astounding. I came across articles about how there is a Swiss Army knife out there that you can buy. Now, the Swiss Army knife by itself is probably only about $100 for a decent one, but they put on over 800 diamonds onto this Swiss Army knife and charge $100,000 for it. And they sell as many as they can make. Uh, Selling high-end watches for $750,000. Yes, they're out there. It's just amazing. They'll spend a lot of money on jewelry. They'll spend a tremendous amount of money on their pets. I came across articles about a Gucci dog bowl for $900 or a leather bed for your dog for $1,450. There are over $38 billion being spent on pets every year. And the vast majority of that is being spent by the affluent. And it's being spent on all sorts of luxury items for their pets. Affluent people spend a lot of money on their homes. When you look at the ultra affluent who typically have two homes, the average value of their primary residence nationwide is about $1.4 million. The average value of their secondary residence, the cottage, is about $860,000. That's quite a cottage. And they spend, or they roughly 25% of the ultra affluent plan on remodeling their homes every year. I mean, one year they're doing the primary residence, the next year they're doing the secondary residence, and they go back and forth. They spend a ton of money remodeling their homes every year. They spend a ton of money dining out. You just look at the restaurants that survived the downturns. A lot of the high-end restaurants continue to do well because high-end customers tend to be very loyal. One of the things they found is that the ultra affluent are 40 times more likely to drive more than 40 minutes to a restaurant. They picked out their favorite restaurants and they don't really care where it is. They'll drive to that restaurant and they're more than willing to pay that extra money for it. So dining out is a big deal to the affluent. Kids and grandkids, my goodness, they spend so much money on their children and grandchildren. It is just obscene. Not just in private schools and all that kind of stuff, but just on the luxuries. I have a good friend of mine who is in the business of building tree houses, where he built a tree house for his own kids one time, and it was pretty amazing actually. And he a neighbor asked him to build one, and he built another one. The next thing you know, he's got a whole business built around tree houses. But he was really struggling to get enough margin in it to make it worth his while. And when I asked him where he was primarily selling his tree houses, it was all in average middle class neighborhoods. I said, Tom, you've got to go upstream. Go on up to the expensive neighborhoods and do some marketing over there. And by the way, you need to at least double your prices because affluent people don't value cheap stuff. So for them to spend $3,000 on this cool tree fort for their grandkids, sure, no problem. He couldn't get the middle class people to pay $500, but he can get an affluent family to pay $3,000. Affluent people spend an awful lot of money on their kids and their grandkids. Now, the biggest thing affluent people spend their money on is experiences. Now, if you have not read Pine and Gilmore, The Experience Economy by Pine and Gilmore, you absolutely must. That is I wouldn't even say it's the future of the industry, it's the presence of the industry for people who are making it. People who are struggling, they're still in the service business. People who are doing well, they have understood that the industry has changed, that you're no longer in the service business, you're in the experience business. Let me just change one diagram here and show you what I'm talking about here. If you've read the book, then you recognize this diagram right out of the book. It draws the line and compares between your competitive position and the price of what you're able to charge and how valuable it is to a customer. And that if you're only giving a commodity, it's only of minimal value. If you're just making a good, it's a little bit more value, but not much more. If you're delivering a service, yeah, you're a little bit better off, but your competitive position is still weak. And that really the strongest place to be is at the top in staging experiences. And that's a little bit of an abstract concept, but that is what the leading funeral homes are doing now. They're not in the funeral service business. They understand that they're in the funeral experience business. And that you've got all this pressure of commoditization, of pushing people down, that everybody wants to get the cheapest deal if they don't see it as being custom to themselves. So the more you customize that memorial experience, the more value it is to the affluent. So the affluent are up here. They want experiences. They spend a fortune on experiences, but they absolutely detest anything below that, and they constantly push you down in price. So the key to dealing with the affluent is to understand that you have to be in the experience economy. And I'll give you some more examples on that in the next video, but that's the key. You absolutely have to be up there. Let me give you a few other examples of what people spend their money on. You can go to Williams and Sonoma magazine, and for just $29.95, you can get 4 Halloween candies, mini apples, Halloween candy mini apples mailed to you. It's just ridiculous. 4 mini apples candy for $30. Oh, and $7.50 shipping and handling. And that's not even necessarily marketed to the affluent. That's at best the mass affluent, and there's a lot of middle class people spending that. You've got down at Disney where there's plenty of spaces down there that sell out constantly at $1,800 a night for a suite at Disney. You've got Lamborghinis, which, by the way, in 2007 and 2008, when the economy took a nosedive, Lamborghini still continued to sell more than anything in this country. Their sales did not go down. Everybody else cratered. Their sales didn't go down. The Lamborghinis range from 250,000 to 1.4 million. And the 1.4 million is the one they sell the most of. Pretty amazing, isn't it? You've got, believe all of this is on the Sam's Club website. A $30,000 Jimmy Buffett concert package, a $48,000 New Zealand wine tour, country tour, a $9,000 Hummer golf cart, a $263,000 necklace on a Sam's Club website. Affluent people, go figure, they're going to spend the money. One of my favorite ones, there's a website out there called catchapieceofmaine.com. Maine is spelt wrong there. It's the state Maine is the way that should be. You get the contents of one lobster trap for an entire season for $3,000. And it could be, you might get 40 lobsters, you might get 50, you might get 10. It all depends upon how many come into that trap that year. And what they'll do is they will ship each one of the lobsters live anywhere in the world, all for that $3,000 price. So what happens is a lot of affluent people will buy one of these traps. They $3,000 a year, so they really are renting it. They buy it for one season, and then they send the lobsters all around the world to their friends as a way to, whether it be show them something cool or just give them a great experience. But this is the type of stuff that affluent people are actually still spending a lot of money on. So I hope I've shown you in this video that they still have a lot of money. There's no question that the money is there and that they are spending it on sometimes some incredibly silly sounding things. It's not an issue of money, it's an issue of value. Next video, we're going to get directly into the funeral home situation and how do you market to the affluent? How do you have to design your business, design your marketing to be attractive to that affluent family and to have something that they actually value? And I'll give you a couple of great examples of people that I've worked with over the years that are succeeding with affluent families. So that's it. I'll be back again in a couple days. Bye.